Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Chem 112. If you logged in remotely to yesterday's session, then today is not going to be any different from that, so you'll have heard everything that we're talking about here. I'm sorry, let me switch here. All right. There are a few things to go over as we get started. And we're going to start with all the COVID-19 stuff. You've probably heard most of this already, but I just need to make sure everybody's on the same page. All students have to wear masks covering nose and mouth, no exceptions at all. If there is somebody who refuses to wear a mask, I am forced by university policy to cancel the class, send everybody out, and then report that student to the Office of the Dean of Students. The easiest way forward is just for all of us to comply with the policies that are currently in place. So face shields require further distance, so I can use one up at the front because I am 10 feet away from everybody. It's not a satisfactory substitute when you're 6 feet away from people in the classroom. And so I need to, if somebody comes up to ask me a question, I have to remember to put this thing back on and remind me if necessary. Okay. Seating. You notice there are numbers that are labeled down here. You should be seated at one of the numbers in order to have sufficient distancing. You need to be in the same seat for the entire year. This is so that contact tracing can be done should anyone test positive for COVID. You need to register your seat for that contact tracing. And you're going to need to do this every day you're here in person. Log on to myboisestate.edu on your phone or laptop. Do it now if you have it available. If you don't, write down this info and do it at your first opportunity. You should click on the seating survey, and the information you put in is Chem 112. This is section 002. The room number, in this case it's ILC 118, and your seat number. Every day you are in class, you need to do this. This is not used for attendance, so don't try to log in from home saying that you were here, because the whole idea is if somebody shows up as positive for COVID and you were sitting next to them, they need to know that. If this doesn't work, if people aren't signing in through this, then that means if somebody ends up with COVID, then the entire class has to end up isolating. So this is a way to minimize how many people have to be isolated. Okay, entry and exit. Move to the far side of the row to limit passing past each other as much as possible. The information I was given said that there are supposed to be different entrances and exits, though I didn't see an indication on these doors as to which was which, so I think we can ignore that. There's sanitizing equipment by the entrance over here. Please, when you come in, grab a paper towel, spray it with the disinfectant, and then clean the area that you're going to be sitting in. No food or drink. This is a 75-minute class, but all classes that are 75-minute have been reduced to 70 minutes to give more time between classes because of all these extra new procedures. So I will try to be diligent about stopping when we need to. Okay. So some of you have probably already logged on and have seen the welcome video I put together. It's only a few minutes long, so I'm going to go ahead and play it for those of you that may not have seen it. And I will note that the information on this about room number is wrong, but hopefully because you're here, you recognized that the room numbers were wrong in the video. Oh, hello, hang on. I need to, let's try that.
chemistry can be an intimidating subject, even normally. But I'm confident each of you has the ability to succeed in some ways. It's my job to help us. But as we are all painfully aware, this is not a normal year. COVID-19 has thrown every university into disarray, both for students and for us in faculty. We are all finding ourselves having to be flexible, things we never imagined, and to adopt, even invent new ways to do our jobs. Your job to learn, my job to teach. None of us are going to get everything right as we navigate our way through our new reality. But with some care, resilience, and understanding, we'll get enough right that we will learn from us and each other. Not surprisingly, I've already gotten quite a few emails concerned about how the course will be structured. So I'm going to take this opportunity to give you a sketch of how we would handle it. All of this will be described in more detail in the syllabus. I encourage you to ask me about any details of the syllabus. All in all, there are about 240 units, split among 4 sections. The only thing your section matters for is which one day a week will be your optional face-to-face class. This is for social distancing to keep all of us safe. I felt it was very important in an intro-level class for there to be at least some face-to-face time. You always want me remotely to any of the 4 sessions during the week, but if you want to show up in person, do it on your side. But as COVID-19 during the spring semester grew, we need to be ready to pivot to an entirely online format at any time. Should that happen, everyone's schedule can be completely disrupted. Because of this, these synchronous sessions will not be where new material will be introduced. Instead, these sessions will focus on working problems, giving many lectures on points of confusion, answering questions for the physically present students or for those that are logged in remotely, and so on. And these sessions will be videotaped and posted on Blackboard. The timestamps within those videos for different topics that are covered will be indexed so that on your own time, you can jump directly to the material you want to see in the videos for any of the sessions you didn't attend. The rest of the course will be completed on your own schedule. And since the synchronous class sessions themselves are recorded and attended live, you can have a completely asynchronous experience if you prefer. The original delivery of new content is through an online textbook and through video lectures that I'm in the process of getting started. The video lectures check your understanding as you go along with the quizzes. There are homeworks, small group activities, and unfortunately exams, all of which can be done online. And there are a whole host of ways to get extra help. Some from your peers in class, some from the wonderful group of instructors in the Chemistry Instructional Center, and some from me directly. All of this is explained in the syllabus. So take a few minutes to read that over, and then send me any questions you need. Very soon, you should be looking forward to my first Piazza email that will help you stay on track with various moving parts of the course. In that email, I will point you to a survey that will help you get to know you better individually and help me assign you to a group with a similar working style and schedule to yours. These small group activities are a new addition to the course this year, and I'm particularly excited to share them with you. We're going to be delving into some fascinating real-world implications of chemistry in contexts that may surprise you. In the process, we will discover how we know that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Explore why the concepts underlying the popular alkaline diet don't make any sense, and demonstrate that an entire $15 million per year industry is involved. Welcome to the class.
All right, so no, we don't need to hear it again. Let's see. So, again, this is information you may have come across already in the other materials I've sent by email and such. The textbook is online and free. It's linked to from Blackboard. There is something in the bookstore that when you look at it at its entry online, it looks like it's a textbook, but it's not. It's listed as Newton Alta as the publisher. What that is an access code to Newton Alta, which is the homework system that we're going to be using, the online homework system. You can get the access code from the bookstore or directly from Newton. What you need to do in order to get into it is go to Blackboard, the Homeworks tab, go into one of the assignments, click on the assignment. It will take you to Newton at that point, and it will already be linked to this particular class. At that point, there's a purchase button. You click that, and if you already have an access code, you enter it. If you don't, you can purchase access while you're there. or you have, I believe it's a 14-day grace period where you can access the content for free, and then at the end of that 14 days, you'll have another opportunity to go to the purchase page. Because this course is being handled in a way that is hybrid, with a lot of it being asynchronous, you are going to need to have reliable access to the internet in order to see the videos, do the homeworks, and so on. If this is an issue for you personally, contact me, because there are resources that can be brought to bear to help with those problems. You also need a scientific calculator that's capable of doing scientific notation and logarithms. Okay, so Blackboard is going to be your access point for pretty much everything in the course. In particular, we have the textbook, we have the content videos that are going to introduce the material to you. These content videos are available in 2 different formats. The main link for the video is the one that has the quiz enabled. And you need to complete that quiz in order to get the points for that video. For when you are interested in watching the video to review or study for exams or something, there's no point in you having to sit through the same quizzes again. So there's a link to a YouTube version of the video that doesn't have the quizzes enabled. In order to complete the quizzes, you have to watch the video. If you scrub forward, fast forward through, it doesn't count. So you have to watch the video and answer the questions, and you have to watch all the way to the end. Yes? Oh, thank you. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, these quizzes, you can take them multiple times if you want to make sure you get 100% on them. That's fine. I will happily let you get 100% by watching the video a second time. So no problem there. All right, the homeworks. The homeworks are going to be weekly. Let me back up. The video lectures and the quizzes. Those are due on the Wednesday of the week. The weekly email announcement, or excuse me, the weekly Piazza post I make, which I think will also be announced to you via an automatic email. I'm not 100% positive of that. It will list which videos are for this particular week. You can also see which videos are for the week by clicking on the course calendar up here, because it will list them on Wednesday. All right, the homeworks. So there will be a couple of different homework topics that will be listed. These are also listed in the weekly post that I put up. Many of them, most of them are through Newton Alta. For those of you that are not familiar with Newton Alta, it is an adaptive learning framework, with the idea being that you can keep answering questions until you demonstrate mastery of the topic. And so simply by putting in the work to keep answering questions, you can get to a point where you've demonstrated that mastery and you get 100% on the Newton Alta questions. I will generally have 1 or maybe 2 supplemental questions that are asked outside of Newton Alta, and that is so that you can have an opportunity to express an understanding of the material in something that's a little more sophisticated than a multiple choice question. So that way you I will grade those, and I will then start a thread on Piazza afterwards, showing what some of the good answers were, why they were good answers, and what constitutes a complete answer on those. Yes. Yes, that is on Blackboard. And the Newton Alta things are also posted on Blackboard. So if you go to that's right. It will link you to the Newton Alta component. Okay.
Could you possibly repeat?
So that's homeworks. The small group activities. So you should have gotten access to an entry survey for the class. That'll get you some participation points. And the and in that, I ask about which kind of format you prefer for group work and what your availability is for group work. All of these are going to be remote. I'm not expecting you to get together and spread COVID. You can do it over Zoom or asynchronously using a Google Doc or a variety of other options. The idea of these is that they are guided inquiry activities. It's a series of questions that take you Socratically through developing an understanding of some interesting concepts in chemistry. The first of these is going to be due on Tuesday of next week. I'll get to how that's going to work in a little bit. The entry survey I need to have done by Wednesday of this week so that I can collate all of your availabilities and your preferred working styles and can assign you to a group that matches up in that regard, so that you all are wanting to do it via Zoom or you're all wanting to do it via Google Doc, and you have overlapping availabilities to be able to do that work together. The groups are going to be 3 to 4 students, and there are going to be about 6 of these that are going to be done over the course of the semester. All right, Piazza. Piazza is a really interesting online mechanism for constructing community questions and answers to questions. So it's essentially lets you build questions in a wiki-like format. So there's a question here, but a part of the question wasn't very clear. Somebody else can come in and edit it in order to clarify the question, to add extra parts to the question, that sort of thing. And then similarly, students and instructors can construct community answers to these questions. And there are going to be participation points associated with doing this. Piazza is also going to be the platform in which I post my weekly announcements so that you can use the follow-up conversation portion of Piazza to ask follow-up questions about what's expected that particular week. Whereas if I did it just as an announcement in Blackboard or an email or something like that, then it would be one-on-one answering the questions, and I would therefore then be answering the same question 240 times instead of being able to answer it just the one time. So Piazza we are going to use for 2 purposes. In any question you have about the content or about logistics or wanting to contact me directly, you can do it through Piazza. If it's something that's sensitive, you know, such as grades or so on, you can select that it's private to instructor, and so only I will be able to see it. You're going to get participation points on a weekly basis for doing something productive on Piazza. Now, what do I count as productive? Well, asking a question that is related to the content. Answering a question that's related to, that somebody else has asked. Contributing to a modification of a question or an answer that relates to the content, or contributing to a follow-up conversation about the content. You do one of those things over the course of a week, and you will get participation points for that week. Yes. Monday through Sunday. So Sunday at 5 p.m. is the cutoff date. The second thing that we are going to do is that in Piazza, there's a live Q&A option. Let me actually take us over to Piazza so I can show this to you.
Mr. Osman?
Click on Piazza within Blackboard. It comes up, and you'll see here that there is this thing up here called live Q&A. The advantage of live Q&A is that it allows upvotes of questions. And so what I want to do is keep a muddiest point list of questions about the content. And so each week, I'm going to ask you to go into Piazza, look at the live Q&A list, which you can filter by selecting here live Q&A muddiest point. And we currently only have one such question that's up here for that. And if you see a question on there that is in fact the thing you are currently most confused about, give it an upvote. If you have a muddiest point that you are confused about that is not on there, add it, and then other people can upvote it. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using that list as the list of topics that I'm going to be covering in class sessions, in the synchronous class sessions. So I'll either give a mini lecture on that particular topic, or I'll work example problems or similar kinds of things to try to address those. So this muddiest point list is going to end up being the roadmap, the menu, the agenda for each of the class sessions. Now, unfortunately, because while Piazza allows the upvoting in the live Q&A, it doesn't track who did it. So I would love to be able to use this as participation points, but I can't. So the participation points are going to be for the main part of Piazza, not the live Q&A, where you are asking a question, wanting the answer to be given on Piazza, rather than asking the question for me to be doing in the class sessions. Okay, does that generally make some sense? Yes. Okay, right. So, so this is talking about the video quizzes and how to get the video quiz score to update in Blackboard. So in order for that to happen, you have to watch the entire video, you have to answer all of the questions, and then you have to exit from the video and go back into Blackboard. If you wish to do it a second time, then you have to re-enter the video from Blackboard rather than just trying to go back to the beginning and start it over again. And when you re-enter, you should get a prompt that asks, do you want to try a resubmission or something like that? I've forgotten the exact phrase that's used. And if you get that message, then that indicates that you are successfully into the video for the second time to do it for a score. Okay, all right, so that's it on Piazza. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is, I've started doing in Piazza, is that I will notice that there are 3 of the same question that are getting asked. I can mark them as duplicates and then they get combined and the threads get combined. I'm also tending to go in as well and modify the topic list, the subject item that's being listed here. For example, there was a question where the subject line was just question. That doesn't tell anybody whether they should read it or not. So when I see what the actual question is, I'm going in and modifying that to have it up there. So if you have a content question or a logistical question, this is definitely the place to go to try to find that information if you wish to. All right. Let me come back here. All right, Zoom. So there's a Zoom link in Blackboard, which you can see right here. That Zoom link will mean, if you use that Zoom link to enter into the class, rather than just opening Zoom and trying to go to it, that will let you bypass the waiting room. Okay, and so I encourage you to do it this way rather than do it via straight from Zoom. So all 4 of these sessions during the week are going to be on Zoom and are going to be recorded. When I post my office hours, I think Thursday's when I'm going to post when they're going to be. And then when I have one-on-one appointments with you that are set up, we'll be doing that via Zoom as well. The classes that are recorded are going to be available to you to watch should you wish. And we are also going to make an effort to put up a timestamp index to each of those. So if you say, you know, I'm interested in seeing an example of a titration problem, on this particular video at minute 13, I worked an example titration problem, so you can go directly to that one. And this is important because there are going to be different questions that come up on each of the 4 days in the week. And you guys are only signed up for, in your case, Tuesday and Thursday. But if something came up in Monday or Wednesday, I want you guys to have access to that information as well. So you can see any of the class sessions you want, and you can easily get to very quickly to specifically the content that you're looking for. Okay. All right. Grading in this class. So participation. There are a variety of ways that you can get participation points, almost everything with the exception of the final exam is going to be out of 100 points or 100% on everything, and then things just get sort of weighted averaged later. So participation, the big one is each week contributing to something, to a question or answer on Piazza that relates to the content. That's the big one. You do one thing that contributes to a question or answer during that week, you get the 100 points for that one. The entry survey and the syllabus scavenger hunt that are already available to you are also participation grades. There may be further participation points opportunities that become available later on. At the end of the semester, I'm going to take all of the opportunities that you had for it, which will generally be 100s if you did it, 0s if you didn't. I'm going to drop your lowest 2, and then I'm just going to average all of them to come up with 100 points for participation. Video quizzes, again, each one's out of 100. At the end of the semester, however many there ended up having been, I drop the lowest 2 and average them all. And remember, I mentioned that the video quizzes, you can go back in and retake until you get 100% on all of them. So, so everyone should put in the effort and get full credit on the video quizzes. The homeworks, there's going to be a homework for each week, which will have multiple parts. And in the weekly announcement, I'm going to tell you what the weighting of the various parts is. Each week's will be out of 100 points. The Newton Alta portion of it, you can keep answering questions until you get 100% on that. So a large portion of the homeworks, you should be able to get all the points. Small group activities. I'm sorry, in the homeworks, I'm dropping the lowest 2 at the end of the semester. Small group activities. There are going to be 6 of them. I'm averaging all of them. Midterm exams. I don't yet know exactly what the format for the exams I'm going to use is. I know it's going to be online. It's not going to be a face-to-face kind of exam, but I haven't yet figured out the format. I'm hoping to have that figured out within the next week or 2, and I will let you know as soon as I know that. There will be 4 of them, each one worth 100 points, and those are just added onto the total at the end. The final exam is going to be 200 points, and it's going to be a raw score added on, so it's worth twice as much as each individual midterm exam. My philosophy on exams is that I want you to have 2 opportunities to demonstrate that you've understood each unit of information. So, at the very end of the semester, there is a final midterm right at the end, and then there's the final exam as well, so that the last set of material is both on a midterm and on the final. I then also offer redemption points. Redemption points are if on exam 1 you did very badly, got a 50% or something on that, and then on the final exam, which is divided into 4 parts, one for each of the midterms you've had, if on the part 1 version of that you get 100 points, that bumps up your midterm grade to 100. I'm sorry, don't get 100 points. If you get 100%, so the 50 points for it, that bumps up your midterm grade. It doesn't work the other way. If you get 100 on the midterm, that doesn't bump up your final exam grade. It only works the other way around. Historically, this has helped a lot of people on 1 or 2 exams. It is not a good idea to bomb all 4 midterms and then come in and try to redeem yourself on every part of the final, because historically, people who've tried that have really only gotten 1 or 2 of them up. Additionally, you do have to take the midterm. If you skip the midterm, redemption points don't apply. All right. And then there are going to be some extra credit opportunities as well. The main one that I know about right now is that on Piazza, if there is a question that is asked that is a particularly good question, you know, it's really getting at an interesting point or something that legitimately was very confusing in the videos or something like this, then I can go in and mark that as an instructor endorsed question, a good question. Similarly, if there's a student constructed answer that is particularly good, I can go in and assign that as a good answer. So any of those that happen during a particular week will give you extra credit. Yes. Well, so the hope is that people who are coming in will recognize when there are problems. And there can be both a student answer and an instructor answer that's up there. So if I'm going to be on top of Piazza quite a bit, and if I see that there's an answer coming up that's wrong, I'm going to put my own answer there instead. Okay. Additionally, in Piazza, there is a history that's available. So if we come to here, and let's just pick one of these. This is a logistical question, but you can see you can come up here and then back up to earlier versions of the question or the answer. And so if there was a right answer that was posted and then somebody came in and put in an incorrect answer, you actually have an ability to go back and see what the previous ones were. All right. Here. Okay. Getting help. So the synchronous class sessions are, oh, I'm sorry, there's a question over here. Follow-up discussions flat out count as participation. I don't know if a follow-up comment that is endorsed counts the same way within the reporting system, because I haven't gone through the reporting system yet to see exactly how the report comes to me when I download it from Piazza. So I will try to figure that out, but that would only affect the extra credit portion. For me to repeat the questions that are said here. Yes, thank you. That's an excellent reminder. Appreciate it. Okay, so the synchronous class sessions are absolutely a place where you can be asking questions. So while I am going to be going down the Piazza Muddiest Point list to have the topics I'm going to be talking about, I'm also going to be taking questions from the class and from the students that are logged on live via Zoom in order to have a list of what needs to be talked about. Additionally, you can be updating that Piazza Muddiest Point list while you're sitting here in class. You can upvote things and so on there. Okay, Piazza is also a great place to get help. The Chemistry Instructional Center as well. They are going to a mostly online version right now. The CIC does have limited in-person availability. Last I heard about it, it's going to be one instructor in the CIC with like 8 spots for students, something like, is that right? Okay. And then that instructor is going to be going around to the different students. But obviously that's very different than prior semesters where it was, standing room only in many cases, especially before exams. So they are mostly going to online Zoom type interactions. You should have access to the CIC from your main Blackboard list of classes that you're enrolled in. That should be listed there. If it's not for you, let me know and we'll figure out what's going on with that. We have learning assistants. So one of them down here, you'll wave. She is our learning assistant for Tuesday, Thursday, and we have one for the Monday, Wednesday as well. I don't think you guys care too much that you go to the same one. I will be posting very shortly what their hours are. You know when yours are, right? Okay. Okay. Excellent. Also, online office hours from me. Part of the entry survey involved me giving a long list of times that I could hold office hours, and I'm seeing which ones are most popular and which ones I can try to reach the widest range of students. And so as of Thursday, I am hopeful that I will be able to get through all those entry surveys by Thursday, and I will post when my office hours are going to be at that point. And finally, in case my office hours don't end up working for you, I am happy to set up appointments, which we can handle via Zoom in order to address questions one-on-one. Or if you want to set up an appointment for a group of you, I'm happy to do that as well. Okay. I'm going to go through briefly the content that I sent out on the announcement in Piazza about week 1. I will be posting something like this every week so that every deadline and due date and assignment is very clear about what's going on. So Monday, yesterday, was for section 1 to show up in person if they wish, entirely optional, and then a bunch of things to begin on. So the entry survey, the syllabus scavenger hunt, both of which are due Wednesday and both of which are worth participation points. There's a reading assignment in the online textbook. We have 4 sections to read over this week, and I recommend looking at those in conjunction with the videos or before the videos. The content videos, the quizzes on those are also due on Wednesday at 5 p.m. You notice the times that I have here, 2 minutes plus, 9 minutes plus, and so on. The 2 minutes, 9 minutes, and so on is the length of the video by itself. The plus means if you're taking it with the quiz, then it's going to be a little bit longer than that because of the time it takes to answer the quiz questions. The very first one here at 20 minutes plus, that is much longer than I like to make videos. I like them to be chunked into smaller bite-sized components if possible. Unfortunately for this one, it was kind of hard to do the subject justice with it. There was no natural point to sort of break that one. So I'm going to try to keep them all under 10 minutes as much as I can, and hopefully more around 5-ish. All right, so those are the content videos. Now, the reading assignment and the content videos. The reading is probably going to be more comprehensive than the videos. There may be some details that don't make it into the videos because I'm kind of introducing the conceptual foundations in the videos more so than going through absolutely everything in the videos. So looking at the textbook is a very good idea. Additionally, the textbook has some example problems in it which are going to be useful for you. The videos, on the other hand, give you the information from my perspective, which is useful in terms of assignments, exams, and so on. And in addition, I have a major focus on not just knowing that the answer is X, but why the answer is X. And so I find that the textbook isn't always quite as understanding focused as I would like. And so, I think that the videos and the reading complement each other. They can't really substitute for each other. Okay, first homework is due on Friday at 5 p.m. So there are 2 Newton Alta parts, the part A and part B on 2 different subjects. And then there's a single supplementary question as well that is not Newton Alta. And you see that you see a range of times for the Newton Alta parts. These ranges of times are based on statistics they've collected already on how long it takes people to do that work. And so if you go into it already understanding the material pretty well and getting most of the questions right, you're going to be on the lower end of that range. If you go into it maybe not really on top of the material or really struggling with it, you'll be at the higher end of that range. The percentages that are listed afterwards are the weighting that I do to make it, to take the results of those 3 components and average them to make it the homework 1 grade. Okay. And then finally, begin using Piazza to ask and answer questions and add or upvote live Q&A topics. So, yes. The supplementary questions are located on Blackboard, that is correct. And the links to the homework, the Newton Alta homework things are available on Blackboard in the same place, in the same folder. So you really need to use the Blackboard link to get to those homeworks rather than going directly to Newton Alta. Okay. Tuesday, that's today. Hey, you're here. It worked. Wednesday is the in-person time for section 3. If you wish, you can log in remotely. You don't have to. And Wednesday at 5, the entry survey, the syllabus scavenger hunt, and the content video quizzes are due. Thursday is the final section of the week. Because I will hopefully have been able to analyze the entry survey, I will be assigning groups at that point. And each group will have a private discussion board on Blackboard for you that you can use. My recommendation is that once the groups are assigned, post an introduction of yourself to that board so that the other people in your group know who you are, and then start working on the logistics of how you're going to coordinate the group work for the group activity that's due the following week on Tuesday. Okay. On Friday, the homework, the first homework is due, and hopefully by then you'll have the logistics done of the group guided inquiry activity. And then Sunday is when the Piazza participation points are cut off. All right, I'm going to go back for a moment to talk about this group activity. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yes, Wednesday or Friday, yes. 5 p.m. on Sunday, yes. So the question was, I'm sorry, for online folks, the question was if all of the assignments of various kinds are due at 5 p.m., and the answer is yes. The philosophy here, I originally had it set up so that everything was going to be due at midnight, but then I learned from the CIC, the chemistry, not CIC, the CTL, the Center for Teaching and Learning here on campus. I learned that setting a deadline of midnight or something like that tends to have an effect on students of pushing them to doing the work later at night, and it's not good for self-care in many cases. And so in an effort to promote good self-care, I've decided to go along with their recommendation of moving the deadlines to 5 p.m. Okay. I want to go back very briefly to the group guided inquiry activities. So you have a Google document that is going to be the activity. You'll have a link to my copy of it in my Google Drive. One member of your group will need to make a copy of that for your group to work on, and then share permission to the rest of your group so that you all can get in there and make changes with it. However you end up deciding to work together on the activity as you go through it, you will end up with a single Google Doc that has your community answers for the questions that you will then submit on Blackboard by Tuesday at 5 p.m. the following week, okay? At 5 p.m., submission stops for the Google Doc, and a quiz then becomes available that is essentially you selecting multiple choice or typing in answers from the joint Google document that you had, with maybe 1 or 2 questions asking you to extend your understanding a little bit further beyond. And those you are going to take individually. And those are the things that are going to be the score that you take, that you get for the joint group activity. What I will do then is I'm going to go back to the actual Google documents. I'm going to be spot checking to make sure that the Google Docs are complete, and in a few cases that the answers that you're seeing, I'm seeing on the quizzes match the ones in the Google Doc. So that quiz then is going to be available until 5 p.m. on the Wednesday. So that gives you a day to go between turning in the Google Doc and when the quiz is due. General procedure there makes some sense? Okay. All right. Questions? Yes. Sure. So, the question was about on Piazza, a question about one of the syllabus quiz things. So let me see if I can get in here. So let's see, I believe it was question 5 that most people were having trouble with. This is the wrong one. Yes, thank you. Let me back out of here. The one most people were having trouble with was this one about the muddiest points. So the idea here is muddiest points, the topic or question that's least clear for an individual student. I am not encouraging everyone to submit a new muddiest point weekly, because if I do that, then I'm going to get 50 people that all have the same muddiest point, and it's going to come up as 50 separate entries, right? What I would rather you do is either upvote an existing muddiest point, or if your muddiest point isn't already on the list, at that point add a new muddiest point, okay? So the muddiest point list is going to form the basis for the mini lectures. It would be kind of cruel if I made the muddiest point list forming the basis for homeworks and exams, wouldn't it? I'm only going to ask you questions about things everybody's confused about. No, that would be cruel. And then the mechanism for it is Piazza. Does that help? Okay. Other questions? Yes. So that's a good question. The idea is for you to brainstorm together to come up with a community understanding of the material, okay? And the activities are designed in a way that it's unlikely for a single person just working through the questions to be able to very easily get all of the answers right. Really, that process of brainstorming is the kinds of questions they are lend themselves to the process of brainstorming, getting to that answer, because there are interesting subtleties, and this is an opportunity for me to get at some of the subtleties in the chemistry. Okay, so but it is also very possible that you will fail to reach a consensus on a particular question. If that happens, what you should do is put down what the disagreement is as part of the document, and then on the quiz, each of you answer the way that you fell in that lack of consensus. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
On that, you said Tuesday and Wednesday are the due dates, or is it typically Monday and Tuesday?
Oh, Tuesday and Wednesday are when I'm consistently doing that. Yeah. Yes.
How long do you expect these group activities to take?
This is the first time we've done them, so I don't know. The question was, how long do I expect the group activities to take? My guess is probably about an hour. I don't think they should be, they should take longer than that. Yes. So I will have them available. The question was, when are they assigned versus when they're due? How long do you have to work on them? That sort of thing. My goal is to have the group activities available on Blackboard well in advance, like a couple of weeks ahead of when it's going to be due. Okay, and the schedule, I think, might even include when those activities are going to be. The general idea is that for a particular week, like this week, one of the main topics is intermolecular forces. Well, the very first group activity is on intermolecular forces. And so, so the idea then is that the one that's due next week is covering material that we finished this week. Does that make sense? Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
So I obviously just asked a question in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to get recorded for participation.
That's correct.
What if I can't come up with another question and answer that week? Can I just post that same question in Piazza?
I think part of the goal here is that you should be thinking about the material enough that even if it's not, I don't know how to do something, maybe there's an extension of the material. How does this apply to something else that might relate? You should be able to come up with something that's not duplicated. Okay. Yes.
Say we happen to post a duplicated answer that's unbeknownst. Do we still get participation points?
Right. So the question was, suppose that a question or answer is posted that's a duplicate, but you don't recognize that it is when the post happened. Do you still get participation points? I think the answer is probably going to be yes, based on the mechanism by which I think the reports come to me. I think it basically is a list of all of the activity that happened, and then I filter it and say, okay, I'm only going to look at the content tags rather than the logistical tags or something like that. And so I don't think it distinguishes for me whether it was in that report, whether it was a duplicate or not. But I haven't actually seen one of those reports after I have done a merge of two duplicate questions. So I honestly don't know at this point how that's going to work. If this ends up happening that you post a duplicate, it gets merged, and then you don't get a participation credit for me, let me know, and I will see what I can do to figure out how to deal with the problem. Because I do want you to get legitimate participation points. Anything else? Okay. Yes. Okay, so let me pull up Piazza again, and let's take a quick look at some of it. All right. So, so when you want to add a new question, you will click on New Post here. Now, you can do it as a note or a question. Typically, you'll be wanting to do it as a question. You want to post it to either, if you post it to live Q&A, then that's just the muddiest point list. And we're not expecting to get answers to those questions on Piazza. So instead, you're going to want to select entire class. Okay. Then you come down here and you select which topic it's on. So we have the live Q&A thing at the front, which is the muddiest point. We have logistics, which is how do I get the homework system to work or something like that. And the water cooler, which is I just want to post a funny meme or something like this. The rest of them are specific topics that we're going to be covering, indexed by the week they're in. And you can have multiples down here. So in order for it to count as participation, you need to select one of these topic-related tags to be using. Okay, and then you post your question. So I don't know. It's going to depend on the report that I get. I'm going to have to look at that. Sometimes I will notice that a question is miscategorized. You know, it was put under live Q&A when it was really a logistics question, and so I go in and I fix the tags on that. So asking a question that is in one of the content areas counts. Answering a question that's already there, and those are over here on the side. So polar and nonpolar, you could go into that one and answer that question. That will count. Going in and editing, let me get out of this. I'm going to cancel this. Let's go into one. Polar and nonpolar, okay? So you can go in and answer it. You can come in and edit it in order to make the question clearer or add extra components to it. You can come in and edit the answer if there's a problem with the answer or if something could be added further to it. Any of those count as participation. Or you can start a follow-up discussion where it's taking the conversation in a different direction, okay? All of those count as participation. And you only need to do one of those, that list of things each week, okay? I have been noticing that there are a lot of people who are answering the original question, not by editing the answer, but by starting a follow-up thread. And that's kind of defeating the purpose of the ability to construct a single good answer for the entire class. So I encourage you to use the follow-up section not as an answer to the question, but rather as a conversation that might inform what you actually end up putting up in the edited answer. Does that make some sense? Because the goal here would be, by the end of the lesson where we're talking about that material, and then you're getting to the point of studying for an exam, you go back in and you now have a well-constructed single answer to look at, rather than having to follow the entire thread of conversation to get at all the little details. Does that make some sense? Okay. I have seen examples where this works really, really well, and the end results of it are this, of using Piazza, is really this incredible database of student and instructor generated knowledge that's extremely clear. And so I encourage you to take your weekly participation in Piazza seriously, because it will benefit everyone. Any other questions? Okay, so I have now had one class each with the Monday, Wednesday, and the Tuesday, Thursday, which means that everybody should have seen all the logistical information about how the class is working, which means that tomorrow and Thursday, we will be going into content. So please, please start filling up the muddiest point list so I have some things to talk about. Thank you all.